Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Well, this week we have another of one of my favorite traditions of blending a big hit with an obscurity. And the big hit is Let It Be by the Beatles, and the obscurity is I've Loved These Days by one of our most frequently appearing artists, Billy Joel, who makes the greatest of all deep cuts, album tracks, and obscurities, if you ask me. So, this is a fairly spontaneous segue. It's one of the sort of what we call a pivot segue, in that you just finish one and start the next. Both are in the key of C, and that is going to be our starting point. Now, Let It Be, of course, is inescapable. It's from the final Beatles record to be released, also called Let It Be, although it was actually recorded before Abbey Road, if I have that story correct. And it's one song known for utilizing the progression 1, 5, minor 6, 4, though it actually mixes it up quite a bit, as you'll see. Of course, it goes something like this. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Of course you know that. It's inevitable. It's still on the radio just about every day, which is nice to know. It's a simple song, but it still has its sophistications and it's great songwriting. So it's nice to know that there's still a place for that on the radio. Now, I've Loved These Days, I don't think ever really made it onto the radio. It's off of the Turnstiles album, which to my mind should have been the huge breakout album for Billy Joel. It kind of has become in retrospect. The Stranger, his next album, was the one that made him an absolute household name. But this album had Angry Young Man, New York State of Mind, Miami 2017, Seeing the Lights Go Out on Broadway. But it also has a couple of great obscurities, like James is one of my favorites. And then there's this one called I've Loved These Days. And it's sort of an exaggerated reflection. Billy Joel wrote this record after living out in LA for a few years and it just not working out and having to move back to New York. This is a song about saying goodbye to, it was inspired by saying goodbye to the LA lifestyle, and it's become about saying goodbye to lavish indulgences and an unhealthily gaudy lifestyle. It goes something like this. So we take our time so nonchalant and spend our nights so bon vivant. We dress our days in silken robes. The money comes, the money goes. We know it's just a passing phase. We light our lamps for atmosphere and hang our hopes on chandeliers. We're going wrong, we're gaining weight, we're sleeping long and far too late. We know it's time to change our ways. But I've loved these days. This is a beautiful, very emotional song. And I actually sang this one my final show at the Clover Food Lab, where I'd been playing regularly for 6 months and filling in regularly for 6 months before that. My last show, I found out just beforehand that it was going to be my last show. And I wanted to, I played a number of songs that night to express my my fondness for playing at the Clover and how I was really going to miss it. So the verse lyrics aren't exactly relevant, but the idea of I've loved these days. Let's have a little more fun while we can before we have to wake up tomorrow and reorganize and restructure our lives and get a hold of ourselves. So this song has special memories for me. Now, as for the segue, it's really fairly simple. Both of these songs are in C. They're in the Ionian major scale, but they make use of this flat seventh a couple of times. Let It Be only in the briefly in that little but it's still something they have in common, so you can work with that. Now, that is how Let It Be goes into the bridge and ends. And, of course, since this is a pivot segue, we're just ending Let It Be and starting I've Loved These Days. So, you have, there will be an answer, let it be, 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 whisper words of wisdom, let it be. We take our time so nonchalant and spend our nights so bon vivant. And there you have it. Now, of course, you could do this the other way, but in my opinion, it doesn't work quite as well. You have the last, I've loved these days. I mean, it works. It's the same principle. It's fairly smooth. I just personally like starting with Let It Be, but that's just me. How you want to do it? Totally up to you. But the great joy of these segues is, you know, you play a song everybody knows and everybody loves, and then you can introduce them to something they probably don't know. And that is one of the benefits of a segue, is introducing people to new music through music that they already know. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully I've turned you on to a new song. Hopefully you don't notice that my HVAC system just kicked on. I gotta learn to start turning that thing off before I record. But hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you've learned something. Take care of yourselves. Have a very happy and safe holiday break. Safe travels to everyone. All of friends and colleagues scattering to the far corners of the world. Take care of yourselves. Hope I'll see you again. And thanks as always for watching. I will see you next week.